Leeds. To the casual observer, it's a city of the future, a hub of glass, commerce and light. But look closer at the red brick warehouse of the coals, or the shadow of the town hall clock. There's a layer of soot here that never truly washes away. It's a city built upon the sweat of the Industrial Revolution, where the line between the living and the dead was once as thin as the smoke from a factory chimney. In this city, history isn't something you read in a book. It's something that breathes down your neck in an empty hallway. It's the sound of a footstep on a floorboard that hasn't been stepped on in 100 years. Tonight, we aren't just telling ghost stories. We're unearthing the forgotten. We're waking the North. Welcome to the Leeds you weren't meant to see. We begin at Temple Newsam, a house so grand they call it the Hampton Court of the North. But in the 17th century, within the walls of the Blue Room, a tragedy unfolded that had nothing to do with royalty. Mary Ingram was only 14, a girl of privilege, until the night she was ambushed by highwaymen. They didn't just take her grandfather's precious pearls, they took her mind. The trauma caused a physical fracture, a total amnesia of the theft. Mary returned to this house convinced that she had simply misplaced her inheritance. She descended into a manic delirium that lasted 14 agonizing days. She didn't eat. She didn't sleep. She spent every waking second on her knees, unpicking the seams of velvet cushions and prying up the heavy oak floorboards with her bare, bleeding fingers. She died of starvation in that very room, still searching. To this day, staff report the Blue Lady not as a floating spectre, but as a sound. The frantic, wet scratching of fingernails against wood. If you feel a sudden icy draught in the Gothic room, look down. Mary is still there, searching for the pearls she'll never find. In the Victorian era, Armley Mills was the largest woolen mill on the planet. It was a cathedral of industry, but its gods were made of iron and required human sacrifice. Child labour was the engine that ran the North. Children as young as 6 were scavengers, tasked with crawling underneath moving spinning mules to clear away the wool waste. The noise was deafening, a rhythmic, mechanical heartbeat that drowned out their screams. Many never made it out from under the gears. Today the machinery sits silent, rusted and brooding, but the spirit child of Armley hasn't left her post. Visitors describe a peculiar sensation near the heavy looms. Cold, oily tugging at their sleeves, or the feeling of small, invisible fingers interlacing with their own. It isn't a playful haunting, it's a warning. They say the child is trying to pull you away from the danger zone, reliving her final moments of terror over and over again. When the mill goes quiet at night, the machines are said to turn on by themselves. A ghostly production line for a world that has long since moved on. Leeds has seen its share of criminals, but none as chilling as Mary Bateman, known as the Yorkshire Witch. She was a con artist who traded in fear. She convinced the desperate that she could speak to the supernatural using prophetic eggs and lethal potions made of vinegar and mercury. In 1809, she was hanged for murder, but the city's obsession with her was morbid. Her body was dissected, and her skin was actually tanned into leather. Pieces of it were sold as charms to ward off bad luck. Her spirit is now tethered to Thackray Medical Museum, the former workhouse where she once sought refuge. The haunting here is sensory. Before you see her, you smell her. The sharp acidic sting of vinegar and the dry scent of burnt sage. In the museum's recreation of a Victorian street, she's seen as a tall, hooded figure standing in the shadows of the apothecary. She isn't looking for peace, she's looking for pieces of her body that were sold to the highest bidder. If you hear a heavy rope straining in the wind when you walk past the surgery theatre, run. The city's Varieties music hall is a time capsule of velvet and gold. Since 1865, it has hosted the greatest performers in history. But box number 4 is never truly empty. It belongs to the Lavender Lady. She was a performer whose life ended backstage, but her spirit remains trapped in the final act. She's a residual haunting, an obsession frozen in time. Whenever a performance is about to be a success, the temperature in the box drops 40 degrees. Then comes the scent. A thick, suffocating wave of dry lavender that fills the lungs of anyone sitting nearby. Witnesses have seen her through lace curtains. A woman in an elaborate purple Edwardian gown, sitting perfectly still, holding a fan. She isn't watching the show, she's watching the audience, waiting for the standing ovation that will free her from the spotlight. On nights when the theatre is empty, cleaners have heard the sound of a single person clapping from the balcony. Slow, rhythmic, hollow sound that echoes through the rafters. Our final stop takes us to the Coals. Along the bank of the River Aire. In the 19th century, this was a place of dark water and darker secrets. There was once a set of stone stairs here, known as the Steps to Nowhere, leading directly into the churning black current. Jenny White was a woman abandoned by the world. Driven by a heartbreak that left her hollow, she walked down those slick, moss-covered steps and let the river take her. The spot where she vanished became known as Jenny White's Hole. They say the river never forgot the taste of her. On the moonless nights the steps reappear, dripping with river rot. Passers-by have reported seeing a woman standing waist deep in the water, her hair floating like black ink on the surface. But the most terrifying reports come from the nearby warehouses. Late at night, wet glowing footprints appear on the dry pavement, walking away from the water towards the city streets. Jenny isn't just a ghost of the river anymore. She's looking for the one who broke her heart, and she thinks it might be you. Leeds keeps its secret buried underneath layers of brick and time. But the next time you walk past an old mill or sit in a quiet theatre, listen. The past is whispering. This has been the Northern Spectre. Subscribe if you're brave enough, and we'll keep the lights on for now.